Okay, here we are. Thanks for coming, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about scams and fraud, and I have some information from today about scams that we're seeing at the bank. And I like to report on those simply because we're not the only bank that experiences these. We have a protocol to report things to the police and things like that, and so we're not the only ones that see this stuff. So we will get started here. And if there's questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the questions. Or if you're experiencing something as far as scams or fraud, let me know afterwards, and I can help kind of point you in the right direction if you need some help with that. Or use the chat box. I'll get my chat box up here. So feel free to ask a question that way too. I will just ask that you stay muted if you're not asking a question, just because I get the feedback. So, all right, let's begin. Oh, by the way, I'm Caitlin Moore and I work at UBT. So if you have not been on a webinar with me yet, I do these about once a month for PALs, and they're all recorded too. So there's a lot of really good information that your PALs worker would have that they could pass on to you if you're interested. Okay, so we will begin. So I'm going to go through different types of scams that we're seeing that are pretty popular. I got told today by my customer service rep that social media scams are down right now. People are not falling for them as much, which is really good. Hopefully we're educating enough people, but this is a really important one because I feel like it's pretty applicable to your age group, everyone. Social media fraud. So what this social media fraudster does is, and this happens across the board. So for me, I know I'm in my 30s. Facebook's still a thing to me, but I know you young ones, Facebook is not a thing. But most of the social media sites have some sort of way to pay another person. I know Facebook in particular, you can pay legitimately through their site. So it makes it really easy because you kind of go off the grid as far as your banking. You don't have to pass along your banking information anymore. You could do it, with any sort of debit card, which makes it really easy. So I know Snapchat, there was a lot of fraud going on with Snapchat, maybe this time last year. I haven't figured that one out. I do have Snapchat, but I'm not a pro at it. So I haven't figured out where people are paying one another or anything like that. So social media scams, they're used on social media platforms. They don't go usually outside of them unless they're asking you for your banking information. And what they typically do is someone will contact you as one of your friends. And so maybe you have a friend that you haven't seen for a couple years. Maybe you moved, you know who they are, you know their name, but you really haven't seen them. And then all of a sudden they're contacting you and asking you for money. This is what the scammers do. They hack into people's sites and they use friendship as the bait. So you think you're talking to Caitlin Moore, but you're not. You're talking to someone else. They'll usually request for you to send them money and then maybe send some back, or they'll send you money and you send some back. So this is the type of fraud that kind of goes across the board when it comes to money. Is someone will say, hey, I have this check for $5,000, but I'll give you $2,000 if you send me $3,000 back. And so what this does is they'll send you the check. It's a bad check, but you go to your bank and you cash it right then and there and you send them $3,000 back. Well, the bank has about 24-hour, 48-hour delay to actually officiate this check, which means that check goes back to the original bank and it's funded, the money's moved over. And if it takes that long, you've already cashed it. So you're taken off with the cash and then the bank loses out on this money. So let me give you kind of a better example. Let's say somebody gives you a check for $5,000 and you take it to UBT. And at UBT, you say, hey, I want to cash this check. It's a $5,000 check. Put $2,000 in my bank. I want $3,000 back. They'll do it right away. They'll give you that money. Well, that original check was, say, from Wells Fargo. And so UBT sends that money over to the check to Wells Fargo, and Wells Fargo pays them back for the $5,000. Well, that took a day or two. And in the meantime, you have had the cash and you've sent it back to that original person. Well, the bank's going to come after you and say, hey, that was a bad check. You owe us money. And so you now owe another $3,000-$4,000 back to the bank to pay back that bad check. It's kind of confusing, but really it's this delay of the process to get a check cashed. And so in any situation, not just on social media, if somebody offers you a check that is too much money, an overpayment, I've seen this happen on Facebook Marketplace, so I'm sure a lot of those sell sites are doing this. They offer you too much money and say, just give me the rest back. It is likely a fraud. Okay, there's no reason why you should be receiving a check for too much money. And often the scammers for social media are using this under the front that they live out of the country, or let's say they are military out of the country, they're stationed out of the country, something like that, where you're thinking, oh, I have this friend, I know this name, they're just overseas, maybe they're in the service, and so they're going to ask you to do their banking for them by sending you too much money. You send it back. It's actually a fraud check. So one of the ways to avoid this with social media, because people are hacking into other people's sites and their Facebooks and their, Twitters and Snapchats, is just never give money to someone you don't recognize. And when I say recognize, it's not just their name, because you could easily recognize their name. So what you should do is, if you don't recognize the person, just get rid of them, block them, change your password, whatever it takes on that end. You can actually, and you should, report that to the social media site. There's places where you can report it on Facebook or Twitter and all that stuff. You should report that somebody was hacked. But if it is something like, you're my friend and I'm asking you for money, I would want, say I contacted Amy and I said, hey, I need $1,000. And I did this through Facebook Messenger. I would want her, and what I'm telling you to do is call me to find out if I'm actually the one asking for the money, because I may have just been hacked, and I did. So Amy needs to call me and go, hey, Caitlin, I got this message from you on Facebook. Do you really need this money? And if you don't have their phone number to contact them, they shouldn't be asking you for money anyway. If you're that far away from this friendship that you don't even have their phone number, you don't need to be giving people money. It's not necessary. Because if you needed money, the person you're probably going to ask is your parents, your guardians, your close friends, something like that, where like you're at school, like, hey, can you pay for lunch for me? Something like that. There's no reason that somebody in the distance friendship should be asking you for money. Like, I know Amy, I know Sarah, I know Dan. I would never reach out to them and ask them for money, because we're not hangout buddies. That's not who I go to dinner with. So if they got that request from me, I would expect them to call me and go, hey, what's going on? Do you really need this money? So no one should ever ask you for money through social media. And if they do, call and confirm that it's really them. Okay. Because I would also want to know if my social media got hacked. So if it's not me asking for money, I'd want to know so I could go and protect my social media. Any questions on that one right there? Okay, so if you suspect a social media scam on any of your social media sites, stop communicating immediately. Oftentimes, the scammers are able to get into your accounts just by you responding back to them. There's a lot of technology that allows that. So you need to stop and block them and change your password. You need to do that immediately. You need to alert the person that was scammed. So if you do know the name, but you know that they were scammed, let them know. I see it all the time where Facebook messages come up and people are hacked. And people then go to their regular Facebook and go, hey, you got hacked, change your password. So do that. If you have paid a scammer, call your bank or call the place that you paid them through. So a lot of times scammers will ask for gift cards. And the reason for this is that it's not traceable. So once you pay for a gift card, it's almost impossible to trace that back. So if you go to Walmart, and we'll get into this in a couple minutes, but if you go to Walmart and you buy gift cards for the scammer and you realize, oh my gosh, I just got scammed, you can call Walmart especially if you kept the receipt, and they can track it and try to shut that gift card down. But a lot of times, once it's on a gift card, it's done. So it's one of those things that the sooner you could catch it, the better. But if you're paying with other ways, maybe you did Western Union, or you wired money through your bank, or you paid them through Venmo or PayPal, or I have another one, any of those money sites, contact that app and let them know that you were scammed, because a lot of times they can shut down the communication and get your money back for you. The sooner the better. If you've given personal information, so here's another thing across the board that we're going to talk about today. No one should ever ask for your bank sign-on. So if you use an app, like I've got UBT and US Bank on my phone, if you have a sign-on for a bank account, you should never share that with anyone, especially over social media. No one should ask for that. What scammers are doing is they're saying, hey, I have this check. Let me just deposit it right into your bank account. Give me your sign-on information. Because a lot of times you could deposit a check just by taking a picture of it. And so they'll use that as an excuse, like, hey, just give me your sign-on information. I'll do it for you. But now they have access to your bank account number, your address, your phone number, sometimes your social security number, all of this information just by you giving them your sign-on information. So do not do that ever. But if you do, call your bank immediately, because they'll freeze your account, which means nothing can be taken in and out. They'll change your account number. They'll update your information. They'll do all of this stuff. And your bank will also tell you what to do next, which is often once you have established credit, to call the credit bureau, freeze your credit. There's a number of things, even call the police. Sometimes the bank will tell you to call the police and report this. So no one should ever ask for your banking information. No one should ever ask for you to give them a gift card for a payment. And we're going to talk about how to use your red flag radar when that comes up. But all of these things are happening over social media. Just take sharing money out of the picture when you're thinking social media. So if you're on social media and somebody's asking you, that should be a red flag. Like, we're not going to do money exchanging over social media. We're just not going to do that. It doesn't make sense. Do this in person, or whatever they need to do where you can see them and talk to them. Okay, so we're going to move on from social media, but they all kind of roll into each other. All right, we're going to go on to romance scams. There's one at the end called dating scams. It's the same thing, so we're going to skip it, but consider this dating scams. Okay, we're going to talk about online dating and what people are doing online that is making you an easy target to scam. Okay, and I'm not pointing at anybody if this has happened to you. I'm just saying you in general. It's becoming really easy. So online dating, meeting people online, even friends of friends, very normal. It's very normal for 2021. It was not normal when I was 15. So this was an even bigger issue because it was very new to the scene. But online dating is, just see the main title, or you're not seeing the actual, hold on one second. Let go. Sorry, we're pausing this.
I just see slide 1 here. There you go.
Okay, you can see that sign?
Yep.
Okay, so romance scams. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, I'm glad you said something. Okay, so romance scams. So online dating. I'm not going to say that it's good or bad. I'm just saying that people are doing it, and it's making it very easy to fall prey to getting scammed. So it's, when it comes to online dating or romance scams, even somebody that you know, or a friend of a friend. I know a lot of people meet people as friends of a friend. But what people do is they just move quick. This is a quick acting relationship, and that's how they usually get you. So they send flattering messages right away. So it's like this love connection. It's amazing. It's beautiful. It's everything you've wanted. You made this connection with them. They're saying all the right things to you, and they quickly gain your trust. And when I say quickly, I mean, this is probably happening within days or a week. I mean, it's quick, quick, quick. because they're going to act on your emotions. Because when you meet someone and you feel good about it, you have all these endorphins in your head going, this feels good. I love this. And that's what happens in any relationship at the beginning. You're just really excited about it. So scammers are playing off the fact that you are excited. You're excited to talk to them. You're excited to make this connection. Well, once they have gained your trust, which is in a very short amount of time, they're going to start asking you for money. And usually the same way with social media, they're claiming to be like a doctor overseas or a serviceman overseas, someone who's overseas that doesn't have access to the bank. Okay, so you could bank with UBT, and they're like, well, we don't have a UBT wherever I am, so can you do this for me? And then they're going to ask you the same things as they do on social media. They're going to ask you to send them gift cards, ask you to give them your PIN number or your online credentials, meaning your sign-on information. They're going to ask you to wire money to them. Usually with romance or dating scams, it's very quick and it's very intense. So you fall madly in love or madly in like with this person. And then it gets really intense. Like, I need you to do this for me. You can save my life. I need you to send me this. I'm sick and I'm overseas. I'm sick and I'm unavailable to get to the bank. Can you please send me this? So it becomes this very intense emotion behind it. And that's what we see at the bank. There's an intensity behind what they're asking you, and it's super quick of how quickly they're asking you to do that. So again, we don't want to send gift cards or money or gift card codes, because you could buy a gift card. I mean, they make it so easy to buy anything on Amazon and just get it emailed. I buy Starbucks gift cards for people all the time, and it's just instantly emailed to them. So it's really easy to send money that way, but I'm asking you not to do it. It needs to be a red flag. Romance and dating scams are what we see because people are working off emotion, but we need to start separating our money with our relationships. So if you are online dating or you have a lot of communication with your boyfriend or girlfriend online, separate money from that opportunity. They shouldn't be asking you for money when you're in the dating scene. That's something else. That's healthy relationships. You go out and somebody picks up the tab. That's how you share money. But you're not sending them piles of money because they're frantically overseas and are sick and don't have access to a bank. That shouldn't make sense. That should be a red flag to go, this doesn't add up. This just doesn't make sense to me. That's when you need to start stepping back and going, is this really what's happening with this dating scene that suddenly money is involved? Another thing to consider with romance or dating scams and social media is, when in doubt, just call your bank. You could call me. You don't have to bank with UBT, and you could call me and say, hey, I had this happen to me. Does this sound right? Because we see such patterns at the bank all the time. The same people are calling about the same thing. And I could tell you, yeah, you're being scammed, or, hey, you may want to check into this or do this. So you're welcome to call me, call your PALS worker, have them call me. I'm happy to answer those questions. But that's where we have to get a little, what's a good word for this? We kind of have to mature up a little bit when it comes to money and say, does this really make sense in this moment? Because it won't make sense if it has to do with money. So call your bank, call me, whatever you need to do. With a romance scammer or online dating, stop communicating with them immediately. Contact the site. So I'm talking like dating sites like Hinge, Bumble, Tinder. Call them or report them online. There's a way to report scammers on all of those dating apps, even Facebook, Snapchat, all those. One of the things I would encourage you to do, just because I would say this, when I worked in social services, I would do the same thing for the kiddos that I worked with, is talk to someone else and bring them into what you're doing. So if you're online dating, or you've got a boyfriend, girlfriend that you haven't really met yet, or you don't see a whole lot, bring someone else into this circle. Talk to your PALS worker, talk to a guardian, talk to a parent, bring them in, because you're emotionally tied to this person, where this other person, like your PALS worker, like Dan, he's not emotionally tied to your relationship. So he can say, hey, you know what? That doesn't really make sense. what they're asking you to do doesn't make sense. And listen to that person. Bring someone in that you trust, that you don't mind somebody saying, hey, this sounds a little sketchy. But pay attention to what your friends and family are saying, because they're not working off emotion, they're working off reality. There's nothing wrong with online dating, but when they're asking you for $5,000, it's nice to have a third party going, hey, this doesn't make sense. Maybe you should do some fact checking before you actually do this. So that's one big thing I would really encourage you to do, especially in the online dating scene, especially as you get older and you're making these choices on your own. Bring someone into that, a trusted, valuable friend, to kind of have some oversight over what you're doing. Not to boss you around, but to just kind of fact check the situation to make sure that you're okay. Another thing to do if you come across a romance scammer is notify the website. There's actually a government website, the ftc.gov/complaint. As a bank, we'll tell you to contact them and let them know. There's a whole part of like security within our government that tracks all this, because we want to find overseas scammers, or even in the country scammers. So people track this stuff, so it's necessary. If you did send any money, contact the company you paid through. So that could be all of your Cash Apps. I use Cash Apps all the time, or Facebook Pay, anything like that, because they could possibly get your money back, and it's worth a shot to even try. Contact law enforcement, contact your bank. I would say contact your bank almost first, because they'll give you instructions on what to do. And they can lock your account so nothing goes in and out. So if the payment hasn't cleared yet, then you're not going to lose the money. And then update your online banking information. So if you do bank online, so if you have any bank account, you have an app for that, update that information, change your password, your sign-on information, things like that. And it will definitely be in your favor to just freeze your account. And what that means is you call your bank and they'll just put a hold on your account. And when you're ready to unfreeze it, when you're ready to use it, just call them back and they'll do that for you. Okay, so what questions do we have so far? Anybody have questions? Okay. I'm not going to go into Social Security scams. I'm going to talk briefly about this idea. Some of you may receive some benefits, and this really fits into this piece. So disability, you could be receiving Social Security, even like survivor benefits, just a benefit that the government is giving you because of some sort of situation in your life. So this is where Social Security scams comes in. But we're seeing that scammers are calling the person, so you, who receives this benefit, and saying that they are an official government employee, and they're asking for things like, hey, I'm calling you and saying, hey, there's a problem with your account. Can you give me your Social Security number? Sorry, somebody's drawing on my stuff. So they want your information, and they're going to say, we just need to verify it. And so they're asking for the information, and you're giving it to them. So now they have your Social Security number, or your address, or your date of birth, different things like that. They're also saying that in order to fix whatever issue is on with the benefits, that they'll say, we overpaid you, so you need to pay us back. And this will never, ever, ever happen when it comes to government benefits. They will never contact you via phone or email, especially email, and say, hey, you owe us money. What the scammers are doing is they're saying, you owe us money now, pay us back in gift cards. And there's your red flag. I got paid in cash from my benefit, but now they want a gift card. The government does not want to be paid in gift cards, okay? They never want gift cards. So let that be a red flag if anybody says, pay me back in a gift card. That doesn't make sense. I'm telling you now, it's a scam, okay? So no one should be asking you for that. Oftentimes, they're going to threaten you with legal action, or they're going to say the police are outside of your house. If you don't do this over the phone, they're going to come in and get you. They'll say, we'll protect your assets, or we'll protect your account. but you need to do this for us. You need to give us your bank account number. We need to, whatever they're asking you. So they'll throw out a threat, but then they'll say, we'll protect you if you do this with us, if you comply. And that should be a red flag. And here's what you can do if they're doing that to you. If you get a phone call or an email, call the agency that they say they're from, not with the phone number they give you, but Google it. So if you're getting disability, you can call the Department of Health and Human Services. You can get that number and call the right person. And you're going to tell them, I got an email, I got a phone call. They're saying that there's something wrong with my account and they said that I could be arrested. I want to take care of the problem if there is a problem. So you just need to call. If somebody calls you ever and is threatening this stuff, you can just say to them, you know what? That's fine. I'll give you a call back. Don't take their phone number down. Just hang up and then contact whatever company they're saying they're from. And it should be Googleable. You should be able to find the number on Google if you look. And if you can't, it means it doesn't exist. It means it's fake. So don't take down a phone number that they're giving you. Just say, you know what? I've got the phone number to the disability department. I'll give them a call and see what's going on. Again, this is a great time to have another trusted person kind of come alongside you where you could go, hey, does this sound fishy? I don't really know what's going on, and they can help guide you. So you guys are lucky enough, all of you young people that are on this listening in, you all have an assigned PALS worker. That's a great first stop. Call them and ask them to help you out with this, because all of this is a red flag when they're asking for gift cards, if they're threatening you, they're saying something's wrong with your account, they're asking for your information. That is just not how it works with the IRS, Social Security, disability, all of those things. They're not going to ask for that information. So tuck that away in your brain, pull it out if you need it later, but that's just not how it works when it comes to this information. Okay. So again, same kind of rules apply. Stop communicating with them immediately. Tell them you'll call them back. There is another website, but you could call us at the bank. We'll tell you about this website. It's socialsecurity.gov, but there's other websites like Health and Human Services that you can report this fraud going on, or just call the police. They'll tell you where to report it to. Call your bank just to make sure that there's nothing that's going on your account that maybe you just didn't know about. Any questions about that? Again, it said Social Security, but we're talking about any sort of benefit that you get from a government agency, like survivor benefits, disability, SSI, any of those type of things. Any questions? Okay. The next one we're going to go through is money mule scams. So this is, I feel like this is an old school name, money mules. I feel like we don't use this anymore, but the process is still alive and well. This is like basically like Breaking Bad type of stuff where they're moving dirty money to make it clean. That's what money mule scams are. So I use Breaking Bad if anybody's seen that, because they do that the whole show. It's a good example of money laundering, and that's exactly what a money mule scam is. Okay, so where we see money mule scams or money laundering, if you've ever driven down the road, I know at 56 and Highway 2, where it meets Old Cheney by Raising Cane's, there is a ton of these signs all the time because I live over there. They'll say like work at home, low hours, great wages, and then there's a phone number, and they're just these like put it in the grass type of signs. That's where this comes from. Craigslist. If anybody knows what Craigslist is, I know it's not used anymore. It is a hotspot for money laundering. Big hotspot for it. That's why nobody uses it anymore. If you have seen random emails that come up that you have no idea who the sender is, or it doesn't even have like a real sender, it's just a bunch of letters and numbers that say like work from home offer or great job opportunity, work part-time, make full-time wages, make thousands of dollars by working at home. This is all the process of money mules or money laundering. What they do is they're going to offer a job typically, and it's usually online. That's what we're seeing now. You'll never meet the person that's on the other side, and you'll never see a face. And they're going to offer you big bucks. And what they do, they typically job title this like mystery shopper, interns, money transfer agents. That sounds official. Tutors, a lot of tutoring jobs end up being money laundering jobs. They're usually posted online platforms, even like big job sites like Indeed and jobs.com. They have these ads for them. They just, again, we gotta learn how to like put up our red flags and go, this just doesn't make sense. How can you earn full-time wages by working part-time? That just doesn't make sense. Or you can receive an email that says, we saw your resume online. So if you start applying for places, especially on like Indeed.com, the job applying places, money launderers will go in and grab your information off there and email you and say, hey, we saw that you applied for this job. Here's a good one for you. So this is how we're going to see it. It's all done online, or those really bad signs that you can see on the side of the road that offer you a really great job that's too good to be true, but there's just a phone number on there, or there's just a website. A lot of times the companies that you're applying for, or quote applying for, are outside of the US. They'll say that all the work is done online and great pay for little work. So that's a common theme, is that it's outside of the US. They will immediately ask for your bank account number, and they'll say that we're going to transfer funds to you, like your paycheck. We're going to transfer that money to you. Oftentimes it comes with that overpayment. So you earned $1,000 this week, but I'm going to give you $2,000, and then you send me $1,000 back. There's no reason anyone should pay you like that. You will never have a legitimate job that overpays you so that you can send money back. That is not how the world works. That is not how functioning companies work. That's a huge liability on them, because who's to say you're going to send the money back? So that's not how it works. So if it is happening to you, you are likely a part of a scam. Oftentimes with money launderers, even to get the job, so you go through this interview process, whatever that looks like, and they'll say you have to send the money, you have to pay to get this job. There's like a $500 buy-in, or a certain amount that you have to pay to even start. That should be a red flag. To pay them, they're going to want you to give them their bank account number, and they'll often say, I'll send you $5 just to make sure it works, and then you send me money back to that account, and then you can start your job. You may be asked to deposit a check and immediately return the funds through a wire transfer. So they may test you just to get your bank account numbers and say, okay, in order to do this job, I need you to deposit this check like immediately, and then send me the money back immediately. Well, like I talked about early on, you're cashing a check that's got to go to another bank to clear. And so in that meantime, you're sending a money back. That check's not going to clear. So you're going to lose out on all this money. I wish I could explain that a little bit better. I don't know if anybody else can, but this concept of like a check clearing, it just means that it has to go back to the original bank that the check was written from, and then that bank moves the money over. So it's a couple days that it could take, or it could take just 24 hours, but typically there's a waiting period. So when you're cashing a check, if that check doesn't clear, you have to pay back that money, but you've already sent it back to the money mules, so you're out that money. This is the biggest way at the bank that we see fraud, is that there's overpayment. So I'm gonna tell you a couple things in a minute of scams that we're seeing that way. So bottom line, don't accept a job that asks you to transfer money. That's not a legitimate job ever. Banks have jobs where I have a friend that's a wire transfer agent. So he works for UBT and he transfers money, but he doesn't work for a company that only transfers money. That's just a part of the job. And there's other things that he does, but he does wire money, but he works for UBT. Okay. So never take a job where all they do is transfer money. That's not a reality. That's not real. Okay. Never send money to collect on a prize or lottery. So we see this too, where someone will contact you and say, oh, you won the lottery, but you need to pay us first in order to receive your winnings. That's not a reality. That's not the truth. Okay. Any legitimate lottery or prize site will never make you pay for a prize. A prize is free. It should be free for you. So you never should send somebody money to get money in return. Never release your online or mobile banking credentials or your sign-on information. And then if you have already transferred money or released your bank account number, we've talked about this before, contact the bank immediately and they'll put a freeze on your account and try to get that money back, okay? Never respond to one of those jobs that's on one of those signs, 56 and Highway 2, okay? Just don't respond to them. They're not real. And I'm not saying they're only at 56 and Highway 2. They're all over Lincoln. And they're going to be in certain places in town. So just if you see them, don't respond to them. All right, Cade said, I'm looking at an email that says that RN is funny, how accurate. Cade, let's chat after. I want to hear more about this. Okay, so money mule scams or money laundering, there's a huge complaint department with the IRS, so that needs to be reported. Call your financial institution, call your bank, and then contact your credit bureaus if you do have established credit. That's really important. Okay, I think this is our last one. It's called phishing scams. It's very similar to what we've been talking about. And then I'll talk about some of the fraud that we've been seeing at the bank. So in 2019, the FBI reported that people lost in the US $30 million to phishing scams. Okay, so across the board, $30 million in 1 year. Phishing attempts can happen through email, text messages, and phone calls. I think, like for me, I see them the most in email and text messages. I don't see them as much on phone calls. But the scammer will attempt to trick you into releasing your personal information like passwords, account numbers, and social security numbers. One of the ways that a phishing scam works is if you've ever gotten a text message from a random 5-6 digit number and they say, there's been a problem on your account, check your payment here, and they send you a website that is not a www.blank.com. It's some weird letters and numbers and symbols. That's a phishing scam. So what that is it's not a real website. You may be able to click on it and it goes to a website, but when you click on it, it actually gets into your phone and takes all of your information and sends it back to them. So the second you click on that, you're actually opening up your phone to them. And they can hack into your phone or your credentials and things like that. It comes in the form of emails a lot. I feel like a lot of email servers are doing a lot better job of sending that stuff to junk, but some may come through. I got one fairly recently, this past couple months actually. I had just bought something off Target, their app. I had just done this. And probably within an hour, I got a text message, and they made it sound like they were from Target, or I thought they were. I may have just connected this where it said, there's been a problem with your payment. Please sign on and check your account. And because I had just made this purchase, I thought, oh, Target's alerting me something's wrong with my debit card. But then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to click on this. I'm going to go to the app where I bought the product from, my Target app, and I'm going to check my payment on there. And I did, and it had gone through. There was nothing on there in my account that said there was a problem. And so I deleted the text message. I did not click on it. So that is a phishing scam. They made it however they knew that I had made this purchase, or maybe they just took a chance when they texted me and I had just made a purchase. So I thought, oh, Target's contacting me. But it's that weird website that you see, and then the claim that there's something wrong with your account. That's a phishing scam, okay? The best way to go about it was exactly what I did. I went to Target's app and I checked my account there. So if you had just bought something online, go back to the original purchase and see about it. If you did not purchase anything, then you should know that there's no problem with your payment because you did not purchase anything. So just delete the text message. But that's a phishing scam because they're grabbing all of your information and they're going to use it against you. Again, emails, text messages will often trick you into clicking the link. But if you ever get a link from a weird website that doesn't seem right, go back to the original website. I've seen this while shopping. I know that when you sign up for like the club cards, at different clothing places, they'll often send you a text message, thanks for shopping at, I don't know, Maurice's, here's your club balance. But if there's ever something suspicious that comes through and you even have a thought, like, I don't know, I don't remember the last time I bought anything at Maurice's, go to Maurice's website. Don't click on this email or this text message, or even call them or go into the store, something like that. Because they're getting your information by hacking their stuff, like the store's stuff, and it's just a big mess at that point. So just go back to the original sale or wherever they're saying they're from. That's the best way to go about it. Oftentimes we get these phishing scams and they're saying they're offering you something like a coupon or free merchandise or a service. Don't click on it. That's not how legitimate companies are sending out promos, is through random text messages. If they have the legitimate website on there, maybe that's it. But it's better to just go back to, type into Google the website that they say that they're from, or the company they say they're from, the original website, and check it out. So phishing scams come in the form of offering you something in return, or making you check into something, but then they grab all of your information off of your phone or wherever it's from. So I want to read you what somebody told. I asked somebody in our customer service department today what kind of scams they're seeing, and it's really nice to hear this stuff up front from her, because she knows what is up. So she told me today that one of the biggest scams they're seeing right now, and a lot of this has to do with the stimulus checks coming in and just kind of how vulnerable our country's been in the past year. But a lot of people are getting actual checks in the mail, or they look like real checks from banks. And so we're getting calls from customers saying, I got this UBT check that is between $2,500 and $4,000. Usually these scammers will target the stimulus check right now. So people will start getting $1,400 checks because that's what everybody's going to get. And it says, we need assistance with this purchase, and it looks like a real check, and they'll say, please deposit this and send this money back, give it back to us. So again, it's that we've talked about this several times. It's a check, an overpayment, but it looks like it's a real check from a real place. So it may say Wells Fargo or UBT or Bank of America, any of those things, your bank in particular, and you're like, oh, this is from my bank, I'm going to take this in. And then there's the whole scam that goes on with that. But she said for sure the biggest scam that she sees is overpayments, where you're being contacted on social media or through email or even through Marketplace or anything like that, Facebook Marketplace, and people are overpaying you and then asking for that back, or they're asking for your online sign-on information by claiming, I owe you this money, so I'll just drop it into your bank account. Just give me your bank account number. It's not a big deal. Give me your sign-on information. I'll deposit the check through my phone. I'll just take a picture of it and deposit directly through there. And so she said, by far, across the board, that is the one that they see the most with young people. Young people are a very vulnerable target. Your age group is very vulnerable because you're just getting out there into the working world. You don't know how all of this works yet. You haven't had the life experience yet. And so scammers are using you as their target because it's easy. It's very easy with young people. And I would say probably until mid 20s or 30s. I mean, this is a very vulnerable age. And then older people, retirees, people well into their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Those are the ones that are also being scammed because they're on limited income or they are being threatened. Your services are going to get shut off if you don't pay us. And so young and old are very vulnerable targets. So if anybody's asking you for your online sign-on information, do not give it to them ever. There's no reason for it. I wouldn't even give it to my parents. Not that I don't trust my parents, but are they writing it down? Is someone else going to get it? You have no idea. So don't give it to anyone. That is for your safekeeping. So we've gone through all of these. Does anyone have questions? Has anyone been in a situation that you wanted to share? Or I know we had that question up there. I can't find it right now. But if there's any other questions, that you wanted to talk about, or if you want to wait until the end, I can stay on if you want to ask questions, something particular. Yeah, anybody, you don't have to, but. Well, I know that I've gotten some questions from PALS workers over the past year because you guys do have questions, so keep asking them. They know they can come to me and ask questions. You don't have to bank with me. I'm still gonna help you. I've gotten calls from actually some guardians of some kiddos in your program that has some questions, which was great. So reach out to me. Your PALS worker has my contact too. So if you do have questions, but never give your information out to anyone, and fact check if a friend is asking you for money, because you want to make sure that that friend really is asking you for money. But don't give money away that you don't have either. So there's no reason that you need to be giving your money away to anyone. I think that's a really good point to be making, is that you don't have to be giving money to anyone ever. You can say no. There's resources out there that can help people in all walks of life. It doesn't have to be your pocket to help them. So that's it.
Very true. Don't give money away. Don't click on links that come in your phone or email. And if you get a request on any social media, always double check. That's what I do when I get a friend request from someone I'm already a friend with.
Yeah.
I always go to their original account and see if someone else has like written on their wallet and said, "Hey Dan, I got a friend request from you," because then I'm like, oh yeah, that's fake.
Yeah, exactly.
Then I just completely ignore it and go on about my day. So
yeah,
this has
good
been
advice.
super helpful, Caitlin. Thank you.
Good. And I know that there's a million other types of scams out there. So if you do just have a red flag ever, any of you, and want to fact check it with us, there's nothing we haven't seen or aren't getting calls about. So I can find out from our customer service department if this is like a legitimate scam that's going on. So feel free to call.
Great.
All right. Well, Kate, I don't know if you want to stay on. I don't know if you can. I'd like to know what you're talking about in your question. Or reach out to your colleague.
I found an email while I was going through because I have court Wednesday and I was trying to find that Zoom meeting. But I found an email. It says you're a brand new lucky online winner of a brand new sweepstakes MacBook Pro entry from Best Buy, and it's not even their actual logo.
Yeah, delete it.
And it's like, take a survey.
Yep, and that survey is going to grab all your information. So don't click on it. And if you were to click on an email, go back and change your email password. Anytime you click on those type of things, whether it's from social media or email, just change your password just to be safe.
Caitlin, I was going to say one thing people could do, I do this about once a month, is go into my junk email. It's amazing type of scams that are in there. Don't click on any of the emails, but
yeah,
I mean, just hundreds and hundreds of emails, and yeah,
totally. And the more you sign up for, like, you buy things online and you're signing up for their websites, the more you're going to get the clickbait, because people just hack into those sites, and it's just a whole long line of hackers. So yeah, that's a good way to get information about like what's out there. It's just go into your junk email and see what's there, but don't click on anything.
yeah.
But I get junk mail at the bank, and we have major filters on our email. And we still get it, and we get alerts saying if anybody gets this email, because people are using our logo and things like that. So it's so easy to fall prey to these scammers because they look so legitimate. But you do have to just say, does this fit the bill? Does this seem right? Paying in gift cards doesn't seem right ever. It just doesn't.
We actually had that happen just in our agency probably like a couple months ago. The owner of our agency is out in Broken Bow, and I got a text from her on like a Saturday morning, and it said, "Hey Sarah, would you be able to buy some gift cards for me today?" And it was from her number.
Oh wow.
And you know, it's not uncommon for us to buy a gift card and get reimbursed from it for
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
So initially I was not too thrown off guard, but it was a Saturday morning. And if you knew Nancy, she doesn't usually get up and going that early in the day. It was like 7:30 in the morning that she was
Mhm.
texting me. So I was a little suspicious. And so
Mhm.
I had text, I mentioned it to my husband. I was like, Nancy text me this, which is kind of weird. And then a coworker, the supervisor in Omaha, had sent a group text and he's like, hey, I got this text from Nancy. It's
Mm.
fake. And someone had hacked into her phone using her phone number and had sent a request for gift cards
Yeah.
to quite a few of our staff. So it was very disturbing.
Yeah. That kind of makes me think that maybe she clicked on one of those clickbait emails or text messages
have.
and it just, you know, hacked into her phone. It was just by accident. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, yeah. You got some good fact checking there though, because other people were affected by it. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
that's great. Well, if anybody
thanks for
needs
your
anything,
time.
give me a call. I'm happy to do some homework for you to help keep your money where it needs to be instead of wasting it on scammers. So let me know.
Sounds great. And our next training is Tuesday, April 20th
Yep.
from 4 to 5.
Sounds
And
good.
we will send that information out to you all. So thanks for
right.
sharing your hour with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for coming. We'll see you next time.
Take
Thanks.
care. Bye-bye.
Bye.